Imagine a world where Friday nights revolved around a glowing blue store, the place where you fought for the last copy of Jurassic Park, where families laughed, cried, and argued over late fees. Now imagine that same empire, rejecting a $50 million deal that could have saved it, and then watching its empire crumble. This is the story of Blockbuster, the company that had it all and lost everything. Blockbuster didn't just smell like popcorn and new plastic. It felt like stepping straight into your childhood. Those bright lights, those endless aisles, they weren't shelves. They were portals to every world you ever dreamed of. And tonight, the place was alive. Kids racing past the candy racks, parents clutching movie cases like rare artifacts. That low hum of trailers playing on tiny televisions. It wrapped around you like a memory you couldn't shake. Right in the center of it all stood Leo, 10 years old, eyes huge, a wrinkled $5 bill squeezed in his fist like it was the key to the universe. Leo, exploding with hope. "Mom, Jurassic Park! It has to still be here!" Sarah, soft, teasing, smiling despite herself. "Well, if not, we could always grab Ghostbusters." Friday nights at Blockbuster weren't just a tradition. They were the moment you waited for. The chase for the last copy. The thrill when you found it. The heartbreak when you didn't. All of it soaked into the smell of buttered popcorn in plastic cases. Blockbuster wasn't a store. It was a feeling. A ritual. A time in life that felt too good to ever disappear. But what Leo didn't know, what none of us knew, was that this magical world, this place that held our childhood in its hands, was already living its final nights. Thousands of miles away from the bright aisles of Blockbuster, in a modest, almost forgettable office, Reed Hastings sat alone, staring at spreadsheets that looked like they were bleeding. Row after row of red numbers, losses piling up, time running out. Netflix, in his fragile DVD by mail experiment, was hanging on by a thread. Mark Randolph paced behind him, hands on his head, footsteps sharp against the floor. Mark, anxious, voice cracking under pressure. "How long can we keep this up? Blockbuster has 9,000 stores, Reed, and we've got a website, a dream, and what, 20 employees?" Reed, calm, controlled, but burning with conviction. "We have something they don't. No late fees, a subscription model, convenience delivered to your door." Mark stopped pacing, but doubt clung to him like a shadow. Stacks of Netflix iconic red envelopes sat on the desk, silent witnesses to their struggle. They whispered one thing: this might not work. But Reed saw something else entirely. Reed, steady, confident, almost fearless. "Set up a meeting with Blockbuster. It's time we show them the future." Would the giant laugh them out of the room, or finally see what was coming? The Dallas Blockbuster boardroom gleamed under fluorescent light. Polished wood, polished suits, and egos polished even brighter. This was the throne room of a giant, and today 2 outsiders dared to enter. At the head of the table sat John Antioco, Blockbuster's iron-willed CEO, arms folded, eyes sharp. Antioco, smug, dismissive, dripping with disbelief. "So, let me get this straight. You mail DVDs in envelopes?" Reed, calm, unshaken, the storm quietly building behind his eyes. "Yes, sir. Customers subscribe. No late fees. Unlimited rentals. It's the next evolution of home entertainment." Mark, leaning forward, eager, hopeful, heart-pounding. "We're proposing a partnership. $50 million. You run the stores. We build your online future." A tense, 2-second silence hangs in the air. Antioco, sudden explosive laugh, mocking echoing through the room. "50 million? For this little hobby? Gentlemen, please, get out." That laugh, that single moment of arrogance, would go on to cost Blockbuster billions. They walked out of that boardroom thinking they were nothing more than a minor annoyance. What they didn't know was that the future had already started, and it was walking out the door with them. For a while, Blockbuster still looked unstoppable. The stores were packed. The lights were bright. The brand was everywhere. But change, real change, never announces itself. It slips in quietly, unnoticed, until it's too late. Customers felt it first. The frustration, the fatigue, the slow realization that the magic was fading. Empty shelves where the newest releases should have been. Long lines, and those late fees. Always the late fees. Customer. Another late fee? You know what? Forget it. I'm switching to Netflix. Teenage Leo watched it all unfold. The same kid who once sprinted through Blockbuster aisles now saw red Netflix envelopes appearing in mailboxes across the neighborhood, like tiny warning signs. First one, then another. Soon an entire street glowing with them. The tide had begun to turn. Silently, relentlessly. The world was changing, one mailbox at a time. Would Blockbuster notice in time? Netflix didn't make a sound at first, but in the shadows, it was growing. Subscribers multiplying, accounts stacking up. Every mailbox a tiny ripple in a coming storm. The world of entertainment was about to flip upside down. Streaming was no longer a dream. It was real. Technology was rewriting the rules, and no one saw it coming, except them. Read. The future isn't in DVDs. It's in the ether. Mark, laughing, shaking his head. And to think, they actually laughed at us in their boardroom. Sometimes the future you mock becomes the future you fear. Blockbuster could still fight back. But the question wasn't if, it was if they could see it in time. Inside Blockbuster headquarters, the air crackled with panic. Urgency spread like wildfire through every office, every corridor, every polished boardroom. Antioco, we need subscription, no late fees, online, now. Board member, no late fees. That's our business. How can we survive without it? But the clock was against them. Blockbuster Total Access launched with fanfare, but it was already too late. Customers had moved on. Trust had evaporated. The giant had stumbled, and the world was already racing ahead. And then, the final blow arrived. Store by store. Blockbuster dimmed. The bright lights flickered. Aisles emptied. Registers fell silent. Fridays lost their magic. Maria, they cut my hours. How do we pay rent? Leo, they say it's temporary, but I know it's not. The empire was crumbling. Every corner of the store whispered defeat, and there was nothing anyone could do to stop it. Would anyone survive? The last day? The aisles were dark. Too dark. Fluorescent lights flickered above Leo's head, casting shadows that stretched like memories, twisting and breaking. He gripped the edge of a shelf, plastic cases rattling under his fingers. His phone buzzed. One message. Just one. Effective immediately on all stores. Permanently closing. Leo's knees went weak. No, no, no. His whisper was swallowed by the silence. Behind him, registers stood cold. Empty. Silent. The smell of popcorn lingered, but it was wrong. Stale. The laughter of Friday nights. The rush to grab the last copy. Gone. He wasn't alone. Maria stared at the notice on her schedule, hands shaking. They cut my hours. How will I pay rent? Down the street, kids who once sprinted to the store sat at home, staring at screens, confused, frustrated, heartbroken. The world they knew had shifted, and Blockbuster wasn't coming back. Leo's eyes scanned the dark aisles one last time. Each VHS case, each red envelope. A reminder that something magical had existed here. Some magic survives. But for millions, it wasn't just a story anymore. It was the end of an era, and some endings hit harder than anyone expected. Years had passed. Streaming ruled the world. Blockbuster was gone. Everywhere, except Bend, Oregon. The last store glowed like a beacon in the dusk. Shelves creaked under the weight of VHS, DVDs, and decades of memories. The smell of popcorn lingered faintly, like a whisper from the past. Lily, Daddy, can we get Toy Story? Leo smiled, watching her eyes light up. Yes, but this place is more than movies. It's memory, magic. He ran his fingers along the spines of old cases, feeling the weight of 1,000 Friday nights. This wasn't just nostalgia, it was proof that some magic refuses to die. Blockbuster didn't fail because Netflix existed. It failed because it stopped listening, stopped adapting, and forgot the one rule that never changes: adapt or die. And here, in this little corner of Oregon, the rule had not yet been broken. The last Blockbuster stands alone, a lonely beacon of light in a town swallowed by silence. Shelves groan under the weight of VHS and DVDs, relics of laughter, adventure, and Friday night thrills. The scent of popcorn still lingers, faint, bittersweet, like a memory that refuses to fade. Not a company, not a building, but an era, a feeling, a heartbeat of countless childhoods, a monument to the joy we once took for granted, and the cost of standing still when the world moves on. Leo, the future doesn't knock twice. The doors may close, the lights may flicker and fade, but change never waits. Adapt or vanish.